much of the cost do you recommend teens contribute to attending one of your teen adventures? What if they aren't in lately wanting to go? This is actually a fantastic question because I have some strong opinions about it, really, that kind of go counter to what I've heard some parents say. For me, I view these types, and I'm not just talking about art adventures per se, but I'm talking about any type of adventure or experience like this for teens. I truly believe them to be an investment into your teenager. So if they're motivated to go to one and they want to earn the money to do it, fantastic, great. Like, encourage that, support that. I would say if they can't pay for the whole thing, you definitely help. But on the other side of that, if they don't want to go, if they're not interested, I'm going to pay for it and I'm going to have them go because I know that it's an investment into their experiences, their exposure, their influence by others, right? Like peers and mentors and stuff. Those are the very things that we have used to grow, develop, educate our kids. Like, I see them as valuable, if not more so than any curriculum that we're doing, especially, I mean, and that's why we do the trips the way we do them. I'm not saying that anything you sign up for out there is necessarily that, although sometimes it definitely can be. Just having the experience of going on something and meeting other people and interacting with other people, that's always valuable because you get a view into other people's lives and mindsets and the way they think, and it provides this contrast that's very powerful. So in some ways, anything they could do like that can be useful, but especially if it's something very intentional and, result driven, it is an investment. It literally is an investment. And so I'm willing to pay for that stuff all day long, especially, and this is the irony, sometimes when kids are being a stinker or they're not interested in doing something, that's when they need it the most. They need those types of experience the most when they don't, quote unquote, deserve them. And I've heard people say this to me specifically, people I know, people in my family, they've said, I'm not going to send my kid on this trip or adventure or whatever because they don't deserve it. They haven't been, being respectful or being whatever. They haven't gotten good grades, all these other things. And I'm like, that's why they need an experience like this. They've said specifically, I don't want to reward them for their poor behavior. And I understand that way of thinking, but I have found it to actually, it's not a reward, it's an education. Like, it's a core piece of their development along the right lines. And I know we've told this story before. I'm going to quickly summarize it though, because Greg spoke at a homeschool conference several years ago, and he was talking about this principle about investing in your teenagers specifically. And the principle is, you're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later. Like, you either invest in your kids now while they're good kids, or while they're, even if they're just a little annoying or whatever, or you're going to end up investing in them later. And while he was trying to explain this principle, this lady raised her hand and was like, let me just testify here. Basically, that's what she said, of what you're saying. She said, for years, we never spent any money on our daughter because we couldn't afford it. But it wasn't in the budget. We didn't have the time, blah, blah. We had all the excuses. She's like, now we have spent over $200,000 on our daughter's recovery in some drug program or something because we refuse to invest in her development. And that, that's an extreme example. But for us, that's the principle we take, or that's the approach that we take. We are investing in our children way before they need it. We are investing in the experiences. We are investing in the exposure. We're investing in the adventures, all of that, because that develops them. It can't not. Like, the more, we've talked before when we talked about the framework in your brain that's being built with neural connections, the more neural connections you have through experiences and reading and talking and discussing and going places, everything you do, like every single thing you do adds neural connections to your brain. The more you do those and the more you facilitate those for your teens, the more developed they're going to be And the more preventative action, it's really this preventative action that prevents problems. Because one of the reasons that teens, rebel, go astray, all of these things is because it's almost like they get stuck in this rut. And if you think about that inside their brain, they literally are getting stuck in a mental rut. They're doing the same things every day. They're thinking the same thoughts. They're being exposed to the same people. So they get stuck in these mental ruts. And one of the best ways to break them out of that is with what we call a pattern interrupt, where you're literally interrupting the pattern of their life and exposing them to new things. And that's what this type of thing is about. So my approach is I'm always willing to invest in that, especially if they don't want to. I'm going to invest in it. But if they want to do it and they want to work for it, great. I'm going to encourage that too. I'm not going to pay for something I don't have to, right? If they want to pay for it, great. You can pay for it. But otherwise, it's a part of their education. So we're constantly investing in our kids.